The Varik were calling it a cleanup operation. 40 warships in high orbit above Kepler's Ridge, a human colony on a world with double Earth's gravity, methodically working through the ground defense grid, one installation at a time. Precise, professional, thorough. They had been at it for 6 hours. Commander Brett Navarro had been underground for all 6 of them, listening to the impacts through 3 meters of reinforced concrete, watching the defense grid die on his display one note at a time. "That's the last surface battery," Sergeant Meg Tulloch said quietly beside him. She was looking at the same display. "They'll call it clear in about 4 minutes. "I know. Admiral Hargrove's fleet is still 20 minutes out." "I know that too." Tulloch looked at him. Around them 120 soldiers of the 4th Human Drop Corps sat in their launch cradles. Single-person re-entry pods pointed straight up, buried in hardened silos across 6 kilometers of colony ground. Every soldier suited, sealed, and ready. Every pod loaded. "They have no idea we're here," she said. Navarro smiled. "That's the point." The Varik fleet commander, High Admiral Sarath, received the ground clearance report and allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Kepler's Ridge had been stubborn. The humans always were, but stubbornness had a ceiling, and that ceiling was 40 warships with orbital bombardment capability. "All ground defenses confirmed neutralized," his tactical officer reported. "The colony is unprotected. Shall we begin the landing sequence?" "Prepare dropships," Sarath ordered. "We'll have boots on the surface within the—" "Sir?" His sensor officer turned slowly. "I'm reading launch signatures from the surface. Multiple, widespread." A pause. "They're coming up." Sarath stared at him. "What?" Navarro's pod hit 300 kilometers per hour before it cleared the silo. The high gravity of Kepler's Ridge meant every human born there was built different, denser muscle, stronger bone, cardiovascular systems tuned to work harder from birth. It also meant their launch systems hit velocities that would have turned a standard colony's infrastructure to rubble. Here it was just Tuesday. The bombardment was still falling when the pods punched through it. 120 tungsten-shelled capsules screaming upward through fire and shock waves, automated systems threading the gaps between incoming ordnance with a precision that had taken 4 years to develop and exactly 0 seconds to deploy. Navarro's display showed the Varik fleet above him, 40 ships in high orbit, completely flat-footed, their sensors still trying to process what they were looking at. He had about 90 seconds before they figured it out. "All pods targeting packages uploaded," Tulloch's voice crackled across the squad channel. "Pick your ship and go to burn." Navarro picked the command vessel. Of course he did. The first pods hit the Varik fleet like bullets from below, not weapons fire. The pods themselves slamming into hull plating at terminal velocity, breach charges blowing inward on impact. Soldiers coming through the holes before the atmosphere had finished venting. Sarath's ship took 3 simultaneous impacts on its ventral hull. The underside, the less armored side, the side nobody ever thought to protect because nothing had ever attacked from below before. He was still trying to process the sensor data when his internal alarm started screaming. "Hull breach. Deck 7, Deck 9, Deck 12. "What?" "Intruders aboard, armed, moving fast." Sarath stood up from his command chair. Through the viewport he could see it happening across his entire fleet. Small impacts blooming across ventral hulls, emergency lights flickering on ship after ship as breach alarms cascaded through the formation. 40 ships. Simultaneously, 120 soldiers spread perfectly across his fleet like they'd been planning this for years. Navarro came through the breach on Sarath's command ship already moving. Kepler's Ridge gravity had made him. 2 years of high-gravity combat training had refined him. The Varik crew in the corridor ahead had never fought anything like him in their lives. They had about 2 seconds to figure that out. It wasn't enough time. Admiral Pete Hargrove's fleet dropped out of FTL 19 minutes later to find the Varik formation in complete disarray. Ships drifting off station, weapons going dark one by one, emergency signals lighting up across 40 hulls simultaneously. His tactical officer stared at the display. "Admiral, their fleet is already falling apart." "What happened?" Hargrove looked at the sensor data, saw the launch signatures from the surface, saw the breach points on the ventral hulls. He'd read the drop core file. He knew exactly what had happened. "Kepler's Ridge happened," he said. "Target anything still fighting, and let's go collect our people." High Admiral Sarath surrendered his command ship 17 minutes after Brett Navarro came through his hull. He sat across from the human commander in his own briefing room, hands on the table, 40 warships neutralized, and tried to understand what had just been done to him. "You launched up," he said finally, "through your own bombardment." Navarro poured himself water from the Varik Admiral's own decanter. Took a long drink. "High-gravity world," he said simply. "We had to get creative. What do you think would be the best method of propulsion for the dropships in a low-gravity environment?" Follow Sci-Fi Shorts for more original sci-fi short stories, HFY, space opera, and life between the stars.